keys to the city, baby. When you see us, so you know you really viewing greatness in the making. Double up on facts we stating. Podcasting, cruise control, city, state, the nation. So what you saying, what we saying, prime information. Facts, keys to the city, we unlocking the statements.
Streaming every Friday.
And ladies and gentlemen, we are back. Clovercrest Media presents Keys to the City with the Joseph McGuire. Joseph, how are you, buddy? I hope you're having a wonderful day.
I'm good. You know, it's funny. We were going to go live about 10 minutes ago, and we just got into like the best conversation. I'm not going to share any of it on the show today. I'm telling you.
I told you, subscribers. They got to go subscribe to us pay-per-view. That's for pay-per-view.
I'm telling you, I'm gonna get this set up where people will get a chance to hear the fighting argument rants that we have.
I'm not gonna lie. Sometimes our pregame is better than our actual show.
That's not good. Why would you say that?
Well, because
it's true.
Because it's off script sometimes, and we just go at each other. Three guys.
We're going right now, though. We're going right now.
But we have to be more.
I know we gotta be professional because we're in front of a million viewers.
Trev can't go Trev. Joe can't go Trev. Trev. Can't Trev.
Just doing that. All right. So we were gonna start off with Big Blue because that's the performance they showed. A Big Blue terrible performance. But something happened last night. Something changed. Thank you, Jace. I appreciate that. Something changed last night. There was an instant classic on Monday Night Football between the Cleveland Browns and the Baltimore Ravens. And we've been talking about these two teams. And even last week, we started about real and fake. And this was a telling weekend for those real teams and those fake teams. And I think we got a pretty clear understanding of where those teams are. I have to say, I put both of these teams in the real category. There's a difference between good losses and bad losses. Miami had a good loss, lost to Kansas City, but they fought their way back. Pittsburgh had a bad loss, and we'll talk about that in a little while in the show. Talk about that Sunday night game. The Giants had a really bad loss. That's a bad loss. Last night, that was a good loss by the Cleveland Browns. Baker Mayfield, two guys that have faced immense pressure throughout this entire season, but for different reasons. Lamar, is he going to bounce back? The MVP season. And now this year, what has happened to Lamar? Where is he gone? What's the true Lamar Jackson? And Baker Mayfield, well, we've been talking about since day one when he got picked number one by John Dorsey. When you're the number one pick, you will always face pressure. But he's been dealing with pressure in the sense of, is he going to get a contract extension? Because you're coming up on that term for the Cleveland Browns. So they got to make a decision. Well, last night, both of these guys came to play, and it was an instant classic. The fans, the crowd was just everything you could have asked for from a Monday night game. Like I said, I wanted to start off with Big Blue because that was just a pitiful performance, but we want to bring positivity. And this year has given us so much negativity, but it is Christmas time. We want to give positivity. And last night, we had positivity. What a game by Lamar. What a game by Baker. Just an overall great AFC North classic.
I tell you, I was worried, though, last night, not to go negative on this, but the field field last night. Watching that in the first half, watching the Ravens and multiple guys on the Browns slip, and then seeing multiple injuries last night, I was wondering at the end of this game, is the storyline at this end of the game, which it was at, I believe, what was it, Jet Stadium? When the guys got hurt.
Oh, yeah, it was at MetLife Stadium.
I was wondering if the storyline was going to be multiple injuries. Was the field a concern for the going forward?
Well, you saw Lamar was struggling, was slipping all over early on in the game.
Well, multiple guys in the Ravens secondary had pulled groins, hurt. Lamar left for a while. So great game, classic. Everything you would want for the game. Lamar is Lamar. People have to start to understand Lamar is not going to throw the ball for 347 yards like Mahomes and everyone else does. That's not his game. He's just going to be the best athlete on the field, and no one's going to be able to stop him. You're going to have to contain him and play fundamental defense.
Smart.
I'll say this. If you know anything about option football, everyone has an assignment. That defense end is going to close on the fullback. Linebacker is going to overscrape for the quarterback. Safety or cornerback is going to have the third guy, which is more likely the pitch man. That's what you have to play when you play the Ravens. You know, they have the three backs inside, and you know Lamar's going to run. Someone's got to take the blocking back. Someone's going to take the pitch man. Someone's got to take Lamar. Listen, there's nothing wrong with the game last night. I tweeted it out last night. Once the Browns scored with 1 minute and 7 seconds left, I knew there was too much time. The Ravens were going to score. And if it even came close to a 60-yard kick, Justin Tucker was going to make it because he is the Michael Jordan of kicking. And when I say that, I mean if he's got the last shot He's going to make it. There was no doubt in my mind that he wasn't going to drill that 55-yard kick. Not a chance. Not a chance in hell. I would have bet everything in the world on that he was going to make that kick, because that is the faith that I have in Justin Tucker, and the Ravens should too, because the guy is clutch, man. Listen, if anything we've noticed over the football this weekend, we watched Greg Zuerlein miss 3 kicks in an extra point last week.
We've seen it, but the whole year it's been like that, man.
I've watched Gostkowski miss kicks and blow money for me. I've watched the game the other day against Tampa Bay and the Vikings. Sorry, Dan Bailey. Wonder why Dallas cut your rear end years ago. Missed 3 field goals and extra point. That's why the Vikings had no chance to beat Tampa Bay. To have a clutch kicker, and we know this as a Giant fan, when you know your guy can put it right down the middle 10 out of 10 times, not 9 out of 10, 10 out of 10 times, that's huge. Classic game, everything you want for. Baker, to me, proved that he is legit. And he can play. That's what I wanted to see. When the Ravens came back and they were up 14, and the Browns came back, and then Baker had that fight. It reminded me of the Oklahoma game against Ohio State. A couple years back in college. It really got Baker into that number 1 consideration in the Heisman that year. He looked the part. Joe, if you watch that first throw down the sidelines, and you said you missed the end of the game, when he hit Donovan Peoples-Jones along the sideline, the throw was with confidence, accuracy, fire. The ball was a tight spiral. I'm like, this guy's he's on right now.
Joe,
so you're not going to let me finish?
Oh, I didn't know.
I just thought the Browns, their game is running, right? We know that. There was 9 total rushing touchdowns last night.
Yeah,
tied the NFL record. It's 1922 one last time, and one guy had 9 touchdowns.
Racine versus Louisville.
But to see Baker Mayfield be the reason why the Browns didn't lose was a confidence builder for me and the Browns going forward. It showed to me that he can not be their weakest link.
Joe, did last night's game change your view on either one of these quarterbacks? And if so, which one would you have said? Because we've talked a lot about these guys throughout this entire season.
Yeah. I don't want to be negative, but I'm just
you both start off with the word negative. My God, you guys are killing me.
You start negative, you finish positive.
Well, better be
my problem with Baker Mayfield is the inconsistency. That some throws he's like Robin Hood and he's like, shooting the arrow through the arrow, and other times it's like Stevie Wonder playing darts. Watch out. That's the, you know what I mean? I mean, look, and Trevor gets mad when I say this, and he's like, well, everybody misses throws. I mean, dude, there's days where you're like, has he ever played football before? And there's days where you're like, that's why he was the number 1 pick. That's why he was not like a Heisman. I mean, you see it and then you don't. And I hate that. The inconsistency kills me. You see streaks of greatness it didn't surprise me he lost a big game. I wasn't counting on Baker doing so. On the other hand, regular season heroics from Lamar Jackson paint me surprised. When we've ever seen that before. This was exactly how a little more high scoring. Congratulations on an NFL record 9 combined rushing touchdowns. That was pretty dope.
Joe, how about this? This is the first ever.
Neither team made me think.
42. Sorry to cut you off, but I wanted.
Neither team made me think that like I'm looking at a Super Bowl contender in any way, shape, or form.
Really?
Baltimore could be dangerous because I kind of said it with the Cardinals early on when they were 6-3 and they seemed like they were going in the right direction because of Kyler's legs. I always thought that was the greatest X factor. You can see Lamar Jackson. He's just a different human being when he gets out into space. When he's just doing what he does with Lamar, that's what made Lamar the MVP. Well, okay.
Tommy
D. He always picks the D. He's Tommy D. He's a big guy.
You heard it here first.
Hey, we could only hope.
Joe, you're going to see him. He puts on the Giant helmet on Sundays. He does like the live.
Tommy D, we can only hope that the Giants come in and beat the Browns.
He might have Jace run for his money on.
But here's my thing about Lamar. When Lamar gets the ball, when Lamar is able to do what Lamar has done best throughout his whole football career, which he started in high school and college and pros, winning an MVP last year, there's nobody like him. And I know everybody wants to say, well, he's not Mahomes and stuff. I get that. Nobody's Mahomes, but nobody's Lamar Jackson either. You can't give me another player like Michael Vick. No, Lamar's more explosive.
Can I make a bigger point for you, Trevor? I mean, listen, when it comes to regular season, where it's about winning games, I don't know that there's a single weapon in the NFL who's got more ability to make a team win games than Lamar Jackson.
Totally agree.
I mean, his record is 26 and now 27-7 since becoming a full-time starter. It's only Dan Marino, Patrick Mahomes, and someone else I forgot, but he's in good company. So everybody I'm a big believer in both these quarterbacks. I love Baker Mayfield just because I know he comes off as not your typical franchise quarterback. But you know what? I like his little cockiness, chip on his shoulder attitude. And I love Lamar Jackson. I just love what he can do anytime he has the ball in his hands. He made throws when he needed to, and that was a big thing. A big thing about Baker that we've talked about is inconsistency. He delivered when they needed him to. Lamar delivered. Yes, he did. He delivered with throws. The defense.
I just want to point out that Baker, at his best, doing what he does, they lost.
But no, he wasn't the reason. It wasn't the problem. He wasn't the problem.
No. Listen, don't read into my statement. My point is that when Baker's playing at his best, it's because they're in a shootout.
Mm-hmm. Well, here's the thing.
I thought I expected better from the defense.
The game plan was never going to be, well, let's go out there and see if Baker can go for 350, 400. Nobody wanted to do that.
Well, I mean,
that's what ended up happening. And again, Baker could have just as easily yesterday missed every single throw. And it would have been 47-14.
Like the first
game. We'd be having a whole different conversation. Yeah. You got lucky that this was one of those games where he put it all together. It's just inconsistent that it makes it hard to put them at the next level, just like it was last year.
I will say this, though. So we talked about last week, we talked about how we've been doing a lot of this, but the Browns-Giants, right? And we were talking about confidence builder and building off the game. So we saw an outstanding game for Baker Mayfield last week against the Titans. We're like, all right, that's outstanding. And we talked about it on the show, I believe, whenever. It doesn't even matter. We talk, how are they going to perform against the Ravens? Because, okay, it's like the Giant game, in which we'll talk about. Can you build off of that win and can you play? I didn't see a downgrade in Baker. I didn't see a guy that dropped off. I saw a guy, if anything, brought up his level up because the Ravens have a much better defense than the Titans. Look it up. It's not even close. Ravens defense is top 3. Titans defense is one of the worst defenses in the league. They're worse on third down deficiency and everything else, stopping the run, pass. They don't have the same type of guys that Baltimore has on defense. So for him to put up 42 points, not only once but twice when they were down by 14-plus points, to come back, showed me a lot. And then, Joe, to see Lamar come back out of the tunnel and with the cramps after Trace McSorley gets hurt, he throws the touchdown pass, and you're like, and they get the 2-point conversion. The first thing you're thinking is, oh, no, here we go. Because I'm trying to relate it as a Giant fan. You're like, oh, no, here we go again. So if you're not saying, oh, no, you're saying, oh, something else. For Baker Mayfield to get the ball and go right down the field against that Baltimore defense, and not because of the running game, but because of his arm and his confidence and ability to throw, it showed me more, for me personally, what I saw from Baker a lot. It showed me that this guy can be the reason why the Browns can win playoff games. It won't just be because of their running game. And if he can continue to build off of this, he's got another huge game on Sunday Night Football this week against the Giants. And we talk about the Giants team. The Giants defense, another spotlight game. Giants defense is really good secondary. If the Browns are going to beat the Giants, it's not going to be just because of their running game. It's going to be because Baker Mayfield outplayed the Giants defense because of his arm. That's the reason why they could be a Super Bowl caliber team. Last night, Joe, if you watch it, though, Browns secondary, very poor last night, weak. And I didn't like, they blitzed on 4th and 10 when they had Lamar, when he came back out of the tunnel. No. And I said to Trevor this morning, I said, if you're going to blitz Lamar, right, I'm going to bring this back to the old man. If you guys all remember the old man game, he used to have a dime coverage, and he used to have the double corner blitz. Why wouldn't you send the blitz from the outside and keep Lamar in the pocket and contain, instead of blitzing up the middle?
The worst thing you want to do is keep getting him out into space.
Where his best ability is to be outside the tackle box and throw, because when he started running, he's going to run for the first down. And what does everyone do? Is your eyes automatically go to the quarterback because you see run, and then the wide receiver slips away. Happened later on a 3rd and 10 when Mark Andrews slipped up behind the secondary because everyone's looking at Lamar running, and he throws the ball deep. It happens all the time. It's just the nature of the ball game. It just proved to me overall, to finish this whole thing, that both quarterbacks, we can't doubt them. We can't. We always want to doubt Lamar because it's like, he's not as good as last year. Okay, not everyone is good as the previous year. I mean, just because Mickey Mantle had the Triple Crown, what, is he supposed to be better next year? I mean, it's really hard to play at that level every year. Not every guy can surpass his following great year. Gary Sanchez hasn't played as great as his rookie season. Had to throw that in there. Sorry, Joe.
We don't judge guys on that. I love it. It's
exactly.
a good argument.
It's just,
right. Seems so long ago.
We have an expectation as fans that every guy that you're just supposed to give it better and better and better. And they're like, but where does it end? Because sometimes there's a drop off. There's injuries. The Ravens have lost both their linemen this year. Ronnie Stanley and the other tackle, and they had a guy retire. I believe he was
Marshall Yanda.
So that's a big loss.
He's a Hall of Famer.
Okay, they have dealt with multiple COVID things going on during the season. They have injuries in the secondary. And here's the other thing. Like anything else, like the Wildcat offense, eventually teams understand and can scheme against your offense. You catch teams off the guard. Ravens caught teams off.
Catch them off guard.
Catch them off guard last year.
So last night, an excellent game, a hell of a fun game to watch as an NFL fan. And we saw a lot. We got to see a lot of telling signs from both the Browns and the Ravens. Both two teams that, yes, one of them lost, one of them won, but both seem like winners because it's a good loss for the Cleveland Browns. They can feed off of that. We'll see. Let's shift over, like I said, to now the negative, the bad losses, because we're going to talk about two teams in back-to-back. Jeez. What is that? I'm just pretending I forgot Marshall Yanda. Yeah, what the hell, Ted? Marshall Yanda is a Hall of Famer. Get your crap together. So let's start off.
Wait, real quick. I see it as Baker not winning a big game when he's playing his best, and I see Lamar doing what Lamar does in the regular season, and I'm excited for that. But again, for me, next round, I mean playoffs, I'm not inspired to think that these two teams are going to be bringing their A game.
I'll put it this way: if the Browns had more time, I feel like Baker would have came right down the field and tied it again. I was rooting for overtime because I mean, the way the game was going, which you didn't have that same expectation at the beginning of the game, was whoever had the ball last or whoever had last at bats was going to win, and that's really what it came down to. The Ravens had the ball late in their hands. And I knew it, and I said it before, and I'll repeat it again. When the Browns scored with 1 minute and 7 seconds left with Kareem Hunt's pass, I'm like, I'm like, what is going to happen now?
Because thank you, Kareem Hunt, because now I'm in the fantasy playoffs.
Who gives a crap?
I made it in our league.
I just knew that
I made it because Kareem got a final touchdown in the final. My God, I wasn't going to.
Did you have any doubt in the mind when the Browns scored that the Ravens weren't going to score a field goal?
No, because I knew Lamar was starting
to heat up.
I knew Lamar was the way that defense was trying. I couldn't find ways to stop Lamar. I figured it was going to come right down to a Justin Tucker field goal. And Lamar was starting to warm up. He was making his throws. He was doing what Lamar does best. And that's what happens. So an excellent game, a fun Monday night game. It was an epic Monday night game for all those offensive fans that love. But now we have to move over to the bad. Should we say the ugly? I mean, this was good, but then you got to go bad and ugly. I think we should almost put the ugly with the New York Giants because that's what happened this past Sunday. My goodness. All I saw was a team that looked like the 1-7 Giants. That's what we saw this week. And we're gonna go right to the main point. And I talked about this last week on the show. And Joe, why I said what I said, make sure that Daniel Jones was 1,000,000%. And not 100%, not 1,000, 1,000,000% ready to go. What did we see on Sunday? Daniel Jones wasn't 1,000,000%. And shame on the Giants. And we praised Joe Judge and his coaching staff for a tremendous job of making great decisions, whether it was the coaching staff or switching in the offensive line, making moves throughout the season that we've been applauding them for. Now you make a decision like this, that is a major setback for a team that was really getting into the groove of things and really starting to gel as a cohesive unit all around. Running the football, the defense becoming an elite defense, and even the special teams, even though it's been up and down this year, started feeling like it was getting better. Now we come into this, and they have a lackluster performance, and it all started from the get-go. Marcus Golden, the former Giant, welcome back. And he made his presence felt, and so did the New Jersey native Hassan Reddick with 5 sacks. They had 8 total sacks in the game. It felt like a 1-7 New York Giants team all over again. The offensive line played like crap. No running game. The defense was tired because they were on the field all over and over again. This is what we could have said with Seattle. That's why last week was huge for the Giants in the sense of that's what running the football can do. Keep that defense off the field. That defense needed a break. It felt like every other second they were back on the field. 37 minutes they were on the field compared to 22 minutes that the Giants were on the field. So Joe Judge has done a tremendous job with making decisions. This was, and you said it, Joe, it was with his gut. Sometimes making it with your gut translates into losses. You got to go with what's best for the team. And plain and simple, the best decision would have been to start Colt McCoy because we saw what Colt McCoy did a week ago. We saw that he can do enough for the Giants to sustain a lead and maintain a victory. We saw that. So the defense played their game. The running football, it worked. So why change anything? I know Daniel Jones is the better option, but you want to make sure that if he is your guy for the future too, you want to make sure he's 1,000,000%. And the Giants really dropped the ball in this.
Go ahead, Joey. I know you had a lot to say about this.
If you could you read the quote?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I got it right here.
Coach Judd. Just because I find this, I want everyone to listen to what Teddy says here. This is one of the stupidest things I've ever heard.
I mean, I understand it, but I expect nothing less. But this is what he said, quote of the day. I have no regrets on playing him. We made a tactical decision based on what we thought he could do as a player. So that's it. That was
the quote.
Judge on playing the obviously not 100% Daniel Jones.
Idiot. Did that quarterback look 100%? Did he look? Hold on. Did he look 90 to 95%?
No, because
he looked about 60%.
Yeah.
I mean, how could you look at the result of this game, of your pitiful offensive performance, and never, we could spend the next 45 minutes talking about that offensive line that went to garbage again.
Yeah, just went back
when he needed them most. He needed them most. That was the way they played? Are you kidding me? And again, right? Look, we talked about what was worst case scenario. I said if this offense or the defense on the field for 40 minutes, they weren't going to win.
Yeah, we talked about
And here's the other thing: special teams. The Giants didn't have a play inside the opposing team's territory until it was almost the middle of the third quarter. Every time the Giants had the ball,
I was watching it with Dad. I didn't think they got over midfield in the first half.
They
until
did.
Okay.
They did. I just said
until DJ hit Golden Tate. That was the first time I felt like, oh my God, what the hell happened?
Listen, here's the thing. The Giants, right off the bat, you can tell Daniel Jones in the first drive was not 100%. You can just tell. So, obviously, you get the sack, the fumble. Giants, great job defensively right off the bat to hold Arizona on 4th and goal. But now here's the thing. You're at the 1-yard line. The Giants, like they talk about, you need to get 2 first downs to change the field position. Never did that. And, Joe, we talked about this on the pre-show. I'll say it and I'll repeat it, and then we can get into it more. What you told your team was that Daniel Jones, and this is what you have a disrespect for Colt McCoy, that a healthy Colt McCoy at 100% was not as good as a 60% Daniel Jones, and you didn't have faith that Colt McCoy could do the same thing he did against Seattle. You were like, that was just a lucky bounce. Because that's what it seems to me, right? You got lucky, sure. And this week, we didn't think we were going to be lucky, and the only way to beat Arizona was we needed Daniel Jones. He wasn't healthy. A poor decision for the Giants not to take him out earlier before the game got out of hand. You could tell he wasn't 100%. He was flat-footed. First game in his career that he did not have a rushing attempt. So, listen, he's not the same runner as Lamar and Murray, but his game, as we've talked about all year, his ability to extend plays and be able to run at times, because at one point he was, and it might still be, the leading rusher for the New York Giants.
No, Coleman is.
Second.
Well, now he is. But for me to even think that, speaks volumes to how much Daniel Jones can run. Okay, even the throw that he did complete on Golden Tate.
I think he has the fastest rush.
Golden Tate had Byron Murphy beat in the slot, and if he's got full 100% with his legs, because if you know anything about quarterback play, all your strength is not from your arm; it comes from your legs. Okay, look it up. That's not an opinion. That's a fact. His legs, he had no bounce in his legs, and his ability to throw the ball deep. That's why that ball was underthrown. That's why Golden Tate had to sit back and wait for that pass. Great catch by Golden Tate. Here's another thing. Chase, you are partially right. The Giants' offensive line, the thing that made the Giants great the last 4 weeks to win those games was the offensive line. No protection and no ability to open up the holes. And couldn't run the football. This is Arizona defense. It couldn't stop no one. We couldn't run the football. Had 57 yards rushing, 157 yards total offense, 22 minutes of time possession. We went backwards. We went back to 1940s. We looked like a team that should be competing for the top 3rd pick.
No, we went back 4 weeks ago.
Same as the Jaguars and same as the Jets. That's how bad we played. I didn't want to watch the game. They were a sad team. I felt the Giants defense was trying as hard as they could, but at the end of the day, it's a bend, but they end up breaking. The dam had too much water and it overflowed. Plain and simple. You can only play so well so many times and be back into the corner until eventually the 10 guys beating you up eventually beat you up. You can only defend yourself so long. And that's what happened. And Joe, and I'll end it on this. what hurt me too was where was the pass rush? Where was the rush that I saw against Russell Wilson that I didn't see against Kyler Murray? The game plan should have never changed. Should have been the same game plan against Russell Wilson that it was against Kyler Murray. And I didn't see it. I thought it was a little conservative by Graham. Maybe that was the game plan. They're like, hey, we'll sit back. We'll keep it more contained.
Maybe more respect. I don't know. Maybe more the respect.
I don't know. The whole game plan in itself didn't work. And we know that because their asses got kicked on the football field. And they had no chance. From the first play of the game to the end of the game, they had no chance.
Other than that, maybe that first drive where they stopped them on the 4th and goal, and I was like, okay, that's the only hope I had for the Giants. There was still another 55 minutes left in the game. That's just how the Sunday played out for the Giants. That's just how it played out. Everything went against them. Yeah. How about this? Even the turnovers. When Kenyon Drake fumbled multiple times on the same drive and they recovered her. Last week, the Giants got those fumbles. That's what I was saying.
How about the guy from Arizona kicked us on the kickoff for the ball?
Yeah, even the kick. Yeah, I mean,
oh my God, I lost my mind on that.
That wasn't a kicking penalty. That's not a kicking penalty.
I guess not.
That's not a kicking penalty. I guess.
No, it's a kick. It is. That should have been an illegal kick, but you have to call it, and you can't review an illegal kick. It's not a penalty that you can review. The other thing is even if it wasn't an illegal kick, to put your foot out in order to tackle a player
that's tripping.
That's tripping. Now, also 2 penalties literally on the same play, resulting in a turnover.
I had never seen anything like that.
Me neither. I couldn't believe it, but I know that I knew it wasn't right. I knew he couldn't do that. I know it wasn't intentional, but that's in the rule book too. If I'm not mistaken, your intentions don't matter. You putting your foot on the ball, and again, you sticking your foot out to take somebody down. Those are both things that are penalized. Now, you kind of hit it, both you guys. The message I took from this, and especially this must be coming off the win, the game last week with the Rams and the Cardinals, that Joe Judge said to himself, we're not keeping this team under 17 points. He didn't have faith in the defense that he's literally dumped on and relied on all year. And then for them to play the defense that they did and to sort of absorb that, I mean, literally, you couldn't have played any more into Arizona's hands with the way that you played both sides of the ball, let alone this garbage special teams that we've had the last 3 weeks. I don't know if he's gotten so focused on talking to the media because they're on a winning streak and he maybe forgot to start coaching those guys again, but special teams has been a joke. Again, the idea that you didn't think Colt McCoy could score 17 points should tell you a lot more about Jason Garrett than it does about anybody else. Jason Garrett is still way too conservative. He still doesn't call good plays. I mean, everything the Giants needed to do, they didn't. And everything that they needed to prevent, they didn't. And they put themselves in a position to lose this football game. And the worst part is this could have been like 44-7 if you really think about it.
Yeah. You know what? It just kills me that the Giants, you watch them in the first half. I knew the game was over. And people are like, well, what do you mean? Listen, I know enough about I'm not just speaking because I'm like an opinionated kid that just thinks he watches football and knows about football.
You're hoping for them to win.
I watched the game. They were so poor on offense and overmatched. I mean, listen, I watched a part of the Jets game. That's what I felt like when I was watching the Giants. Joe, it was almost like you were in a bad dream and you couldn't wake up from it. You ever been in a bad dream where you're like, wake up, and you wake up and then you're like, you still feel like you're in the dream? That's what it felt like in the Giants. And maybe I'll use the other thing, quicksand. You're in quicksand. And the harder you try to get out of quicksand, the farther you fall deeper into the hole. And the Giants just couldn't get out of the hole. We talked about this before. They don't have a number one receiver. Okay? We know that.
It's become evidently clear.
They create the least amount of separation I see in receivers in all the league. The only team I think is worse is maybe Baltimore. And we know that. That's why Baltimore can't throw the ball. Thank God for Daniel Jones having the ability to throw the ball much better than Lamar, accuracy-wise. Evan Ingram, non-existent this weekend. Don't know why. Don't understand. We know what type of playmaker he can be for this team. That's why I question some of these things. And that's why, Joe, you told me last week why I'm so hard on the Giants. You're like, I need to prove it to me before I can jump on the bandwagon. And I'm a true Giant fan through and through. You turn around this camera, look at all the damn Giants collectibles and things I have. Giant fan forever and always will be and never regrets. but I'm a guy that you got to prove it to me. I need to see consistency. I need to see it over and over because I've seen this ball game before. I've seen this story and how it ends. It's the same thing as Hallmark. You know how it starts, you know how the middle ground goes, and you know how the movie's going to end with the girl kissing the guy at the end of the movie. You know the Giants are going to do this to you. So to me, this is what I'm going to say, and I'll answer Alexander's question. Who do you think's winning the NFC East?
I don't know.
It's between the Giants and Washington. If the Giants lose to the Browns this week, they will not make the playoffs. The season's over. Plain and simple. Washington is the better team right now, the way they're playing. But your biggest question is, can Dwayne Haskins not screw it up? Plain and simple. Because if they're tied, the Giants have the
So shall we get into this conversation?
We don't need to get into the conversation. I'm just answering the question.
Around.
Right now, if you ask me, I would pick Washington to win it because they are playing better football than the Giants. But you know what? I could watch the Giants beat the Browns on Sunday Night Football and be like, Ted, you're an idiot. And the Giants played much better they came back.
That's why I'm going to let the NFC East just play itself out because I'm not picking anybody. That's what it's going to come down to. It's going to come down to win 17 because both teams, the Giants play the Cowboys and Washington plays Philly. It's going to play itself out. I'm not answering this question anymore until the season's up, until we get the postseason. That's it.
October 13th of 2014, the Victor Cruz game. The Giants were on a 3-game winning streak. The game Victor Cruz blew out his knee against Philly.
Sunday night game. You went to that game?
I was at the link. I was literally there. In a luxury suite with cheerleaders. It was a good time. But that was the Giants' most putrid offensive performance in their team history. They had, I think, 21 yards of offense in the first half. Never got past midfield. Yep. It was a pathetic performance.
I felt like that.
And so, Teddy, when you said that I had that sort of same helpless feeling, only I wasn't surrounded by Eagles cheerleaders to comfort me.
I would have needed a lot more booze.
It was. I mean, the sacks, just the way this team played. I was puzzled from the start by literally everything the Giants did. For him to literally face the media and say that he stands by it. No, say, look, I went with my gut, and I'm an idiot. And look, I'll tell you too. I don't think that Johnny Manziel Jr., Baker Mayfield, as you will. I don't think he's going to lose on prime time to the Giants. I don't think it's going to happen. I hate to say it. I don't think there's any way.
Colt McCoy's going to be starting quarterback. We know that.
Right. There's no way the Browns aren't beating the Giants. I think to me this game, and I kind of been saying it the last 5 or 6 weeks, I think it's effectively over. Look, Washington sucks. I get that. The Giants might still win the division.
Let's just say that.
But they all won this week except for the Giants.
At this point, if the Giants win the division and they play in the wild card round, they're going to lose. I'm concerned about Daniel Jones. I mean, clearly he's not okay, and I don't think another 7 days is gonna cut it. So you got Colt McCoy again. 5-9. I mean, where are we going with that?
All I want to say to finish this is the way the Giants got here in this 4-game winning streak went all backwards, and the reason why they lost on Sunday. Their offensive line was playing well, was gelling, was clicking. The running game was effective and impactful for our offense, and not many people had a reason. And no way they couldn't stop us. It seemed like. Now everything just went back to phase 1, all over again. That's what just happened on Sunday. But here's the thing. Here's the thing. We just got to go with the reality too, because all of us Giant fans that we thought, oh man, this team could get really hot and really dangerous. Yeah, they could have, but we got.
They were. They were hot.
Everything we just saw for the past month went out the window on Sunday.
Well, did it? I mean, look, if they potentially matched up well and had a chance against the Browns, you'd be like, oh, all right, and then maybe they match up with the Ravens. You're like, all right. I have no reason to think that the Browns won't blow the Giants off the football field.
Yeah, the Ravens. I still believe
in Giants. I mean, listen, where will Jones be in 2 weeks? Because you'll be in big trouble against the Ravens.
Yeah. I mean, listen, you saw last night what those two teams are capable of. And are the Giants at that level? You have
not even. It would take the Giants 2 weeks to score 47 points.
Maybe 3.
Probably 3.
In 4 weeks, Lawrence Tynes posted in 4 weeks.
Dude, those teams had 9 rushing touchdowns last year. Again, it would take the Giants about 4 weeks to get 9 rushing touchdowns, maybe 6 weeks.
Joe, did you hear that?
So Lawrence Tynes said like they've scored a total of like 47 points in the past like 3 weeks. So
pathetic.
And in a league that everyone scores points,
they need to go find one of their biggest things is going to find a number 1 receiver. That's definitely one of the musts.
We had a really cool conversation before the show, and I think it bears playing out here. That we broke it down. There's 5 rushing teams in the NFL.
Yeah, that are run first teams. Yeah, pass second.
Correct.
Yeah.
Did I say that wrong?
Yeah,
no,
I think I might. You know what I mean.
It's a run
first offense.
Tennessee, Minnesota, Cleveland, Oakland, and the Giants. Teams that want to run the ball first, pass second. Everyone else in the league, the 27 average teams, like to pass first and then run second. And that's opposite of what's been going on for football in the last 50 years. But guess what? The game has changed, and we understand that. So, but the Giants can't do either, and they didn't do that this week. So,
well, look, again, my whole point was look at those 5 football teams, the ones that have a dominant number 1 receiver, a big possession guy giving you 6, 8, 10, 12 catches a week. Those teams can also run the ball. Look how much better the Titans are when A.J. Brown's on the field.
Oh, he's a beast.
When he's out and they put 9 guys, 10 guys in the box, I mean, Derrick Henry's great, but I mean, even Derrick Henry is going to struggle to run through 10 guys.
I mean, Minnesota, they got 2 tight ends that can stretch the field, and Rudolph and Irvin.
2 receivers.
And the 2 receivers, and Justin Jefferson, which they didn't need to, but they took in the first round, and might win Rookie of the Year, and Adam Thielen.
And then you got Dalvin Cook, who's one of the best backs.
But we're not even talking about the run. I'm just adding the receivers. I mean, Oakland, we know they're run first, and they don't have a legit number 1 receiver. They don't. And the Giants don't have a number 1 receiver, but Cleveland does. They have Beckham, and they have Landry. So and Donovan Peoples-Jones, sleeper.
The thing is, they got
big physical young receiver from Michigan, and we're seeing it because look at Baker Mayfield's numbers since week 11. They have been top notch.
We'll talk about the Giants and Browns game later on in the week. It's a huge game, and it's still a game that's wide open for the NFC East because Washington plays Seattle, which is that could be a tough game. So Giants play Browns tough. Philly plays. I forgot who Philly plays in Dallas. I don't even care about Dallas.
Do you know who Lionel Manuel is?
Why do that name sound familiar?
I know who Lionel Richie is, but I don't know Lionel Manuel.
I think 86 Giants.
Oh.
Yeah.
He was there again, I mean, I don't have the numbers in front of me, and I could have looked them up quick, but if you look at the numbers up, you wouldn't be blown away by Lionel Manuel's numbers.
Oh, he was a receiver.
Yep. Between him and Mark Bavaro. Whenever the Giants needed to complete a pass, done. And then they would just continue to pound the football with Joe Morris and Maurice Carthon and play great defense.
Joe, even when the Giants won the Super Bowls, the 91 one, they had Stephen Baker, the touchdown maker, and Mark Ingram, senior. Okay,
yeah, Mark Ingram was a really solid possession receiver.
Stephen Baker, all he did was catch touchdowns. 2007, they had Plaxico Burress, number 1.
There's your Darius Slayton. There's your Darius Slayton.
And Amani Toomer. Then in 2012, when they won the second one, they had Cruz and Mario Manningham. Okay? So they had legit number 1 receivers.
No, they had Akeem Nicks.
Oh,
Akeem Nicks was probably their number 1. Cruz was the big 86.
Lionel Manuel, baby. Love it.
So, but yes, you need, we know this. You can run the ball you want, but you need to be able to have a receiver that can get open and on a 3rd and 5 and say, I'm going to throw you the damn ball and you're going to catch it and we're going to move the sticks and we're going to run the ball again. And the Giants don't have that guy.
So let's close out with the game that we talked about last week. It was the CMG's game of the week, and it lived up to it, but you're looking at 2 different sides, 2 different trajectories, it seems like. A couple weeks ago, we thought the Pittsburgh Steelers looking like they were going to run the table, but they've also been going.
Not you and me.
I mean, I had them going. That was my bold prediction. I did say they were going to go undefeated, 16-0. I did say they were going to finish regular season 6-0. It was a bold prediction.
So it might be harder to go 16-0 than I was 16.
I was wrong. But you look at that.
Maybe.
This is kind of
the Jets. Sorry, Chuck.
That's fine. So you see the Sunday night game, and you see the Pittsburgh Steelers the past 2 weeks, I should say. I'm sorry. It just continuously shows that if you're going to throw the ball 50 times with no running game, they're not going to be successful. And you saw Buffalo, even the Buffalo Bills, they don't have a great running game, but they have a quarterback in Josh Allen who's really starting to figure out his game. And that's a scary thing for the rest of the AFC, even Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs, because Josh Allen is maybe, other than Aaron Rodgers and Patrick Mahomes, maybe the most talented quarterback in the NFL. He has all the tools. But then you look at Pittsburgh, this team is just falling backwards. They just fall flat on their backs. It's amazing how, I know they've dealt with injuries, but if you can't run the football and you're going to have a 37-year-old age quarterback in Big Ben who can't move and throw the ball 50 times, you're not winning.
Well,
you're just not going to win, and it showed again. And everybody was right. Pittsburgh continuously shows why they might be one of the most overrated 11-2 teams in the history of the NFL. Because it's just, and that's what I said to you yesterday. The Pittsburgh Steelers better start figuring out a way to start scoping out for their future quarterback, because I didn't even have them. I'm so
Rob's a Steelers fan.
Well, that's why I took him. That's why it's called a bold prediction. They got to start figuring out a quarterback situation, because they don't have one. And Big Ben is going to retire, whether you like it or not, Steeler fans. He's going to retire within the next year or two. And the reason they keep winning, which you're not going to get any good, maybe you find some kind of gem. But you just look at the Bills going.
Did you even listen to his quote after the game? Did you listen to his quote?
Of course. If I'm not playing good, then I shouldn't be playing football.
Retirement. So he's already talking about that. Here's the thing.
But you look at Buffalo going this way, and you see Pittsburgh going that way.
You can throw the ball 51 times. If your receivers catch the ball, they are dropping the ball at an incredible rate. The week before against the Ravens, they had 6 drops. I don't even know how many they had this week. But watch. Every time you drop the ball, that stops a drive. It's literally kills every drive. You watch it multiple
and they have a lot of drives.
And that's a problem. Listen, you can throw the ball 50 times a game. If your guys are catching the ball every time, they're not catching the ball. The injuries are starting to catch up. The lack of the bye week hurts the Steelers. Listen, they have hit the wall. The Steelers have hit the wall. They can't run the football. What built the Steelers team, and what I've always known the Steelers to be, was run the ball first, power offense, play action pass with physical receivers, and play hard-nosed defense, and you're going to earn every single inch that you get. The Steelers are not that team. They've become a finesse-based team. They can't run the football. They had less than 50 yards rushing, I believe, in the game. James Conner does not look like the future of the running back. That's why I'm shocked that they didn't go after Le'Veon Bell when he was a free agent, to try to bring him back and maybe spark the offense. A guy that can catch the ball in the backfield. He's been there. He knows the offense. He knows what's going to go on. I mean, maybe they want to deal with the turmoil, but either way, that guy would have helped the team.
Joe,
okay? So you can't pass the ball because you can't complete passes. You don't protect your quarterback. You have an aging quarterback that can't mobile, and you have multiple injuries, like you talked. Bush's linebacker injury. You had Budget Free. Now you have your back ends. No one can block TJ Watt. But guess what? If you can now focus on one guy instead of 2 or 3, the only thing that's made Pittsburgh play as well as they lead the league in turnovers.
Joe, was this game more about the Buffalo Bills to you, or was it the Pittsburgh Steelers?
Well, first of all, I'm going to attack Rob, my co-host, on I'll piss you off shortly. First and foremost, listen.
You're going to piss him off even before?
One team in history's gone undefeated.
Yeah, Miami Dolphins.
Five teams have gone winless in NFL history. Only 2 of them have ever gone 0-16. Again, just based on probability and the law of averages and the fact that these are all professional football teams, you're going to win a game or 2 and you're going to lose a game or 2. Mm-hmm. I think what it comes down to, right, I think that's why we look at the losses. What was the loss like? That's why I don't a 47-43 loss by Cleveland. I don't think that's a good loss because, again, Cleveland's not going to score 47 points against a good team. And they gave up 47 to a good team. So that's problematic going forward. That's how I see it. For me, this game, I mean, the fact that the Bills still have a defense that can handle a guy like Allen, I think that's important. And I think it means a lot for that team.
Listen, for me, this was a proving game for me, the Bills. You know, everything I talk about with the Giants, like, okay, you got a big win. Can you do it again? And I don't expect you to win every week because the nature of the football team is teams lose games more than they win games. That's the nature. How do you come back from defeat? But for me, If you were like a betting man, you're like, Ted, who you like? Because me and Trevor were both wrong, Joe. We both picked the Steelers.
I thought Pittsburgh would come in more.
Because you know in the back of your mind, you know what the Steelers are. You see, I told someone it's like the Patriots. You have a certain expectation that you've built in your mind over the years of what these teams are and what you expect from. You think that the Bills are going to lose these type of games because that's what the Bills have done for the past 25 years. They haven't won a playoff game in 25 years. They hadn't won a Monday Night Football game since 1999 since they won last week. So when you're used to seeing that, right? Your expectation is, hey, listen, the Steelers win these big games. They come back from a loss, and they know how to defend their ground. Well, guess what? The Bills are a better team. They have the better quarterback. And as good as the Steelers' defense is, it couldn't overcome the lack of offense and how well Josh Allen can play.
I mean, are Pittsburgh Steelers fans, honest to God, the biggest babies on the planet? No, listen, has anybody here suggested the Steelers can't win the Super Bowl?
No,
but they were listen, for the first 10 games, they look really good.
Yeah, of course, because they were healthy and they were able, and they also were beating up
right. So, but no, the question we're getting posed with is what, the narrative. Well, the narrative was you had a really good football team on a great run, dealing with some injuries, dealing with some other issues. The whole idea is, can the team persevere? Because what's the postseason? That's where your back's against the wall. No room for error. One mistake, your season's over. So, no, nobody said that. Nobody said anything about the Steelers. It's okay.
I've been a bigger believer that probably these two are with the Pittsburgh Steelers this year.
Look, I know there's a few Steelers fans watching. Take a deep breath. Your team's fine. They look, second easiest schedule in the league. That's fine. I'm not worried about that. Again, it doesn't. Who you beat and how you beat them and by what score is completely irrelevant in sports. This idea that the quarterback's got to go for 350 or the running back's got to run for 120 doesn't matter. You have to win the game. Your team has to score more points than the other. If that means you kick 9 field goals and score 27, great. 4 touchdowns, 20, great. You got to win the game.
Here's my thing. I've been very high in the Pittsburgh Steelers throughout this entire season.
More so
and more so than both of these.
Steelers. I knew the Steelers were going to lose this game because they just got punched in the face. It's hard to come back from a punch in the face. I still think they're going to finish 14-2. I still think they're going to be a force to be reckoned with.
Here's my thing about
I never thought they were going to go undefeated because, let's be honest, to go undefeated, to be the 72 Dolphins or to be the Patriots that got so close, you got to play right on all three phases of the game.
You have to be perfect.
You have to be able to. Don't forget that those Dolphins, they won with a backup quarterback.
Yeah, Greasy got hurt.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, a backup quarterback. I mean, can you think of anything better than having a star quarterback get hurt on an undefeated team and the backup's like, I got this. We got depth. We got coaching. We got a defense. We got special teams. That's how you're able to. The Giants, when they lost Saquon Barkley, easily could have just gone 1-15, and everybody would have been like, that's fine. We could be fine with that. Well, we'll go draft Trevor Lawrence and get this bum Jones out of town. Great. But that's not how it works. And again, that's why I look at losses. A good loss, I don't think this is a bad loss for the Steelers.
It's not a bad loss.
Sloppy. It was sloppy. And look, this is not the recipe to win.
Joe,
this is not the recipe they need to win.
But it is a telling loss because now we've seen 2 games in a row
that they've been exposed.
Where they've been exposed, and there's a leak in the faucet. And here's the thing: they still have to.
But that's to assume that Mike Tomlin's not aware of this.
No, I know.
Mike Tomlin's a good enough coach, and Ben Roethlisberger's a good enough quarterback.
But Joe, he can't.
They needed to be exposed.
But he can't fix the drops because it's not something that's a mental game within the receiver.
You could fix drops.
I know you could.
It's called laps. It's called suicides. You'll work that shit out.
Joe,
I know you will.
If you heard his quote last week, he said, if we don't start catching, certain guys don't start catching the ball, they won't be on the field. That's exactly what he said last week, and they dropped more balls. So here's the other thing before you get into this.
Yeah, no, I mean, what are we playing, Madden? Nobody goes. My point is, nobody goes 16-0.
Here's the other thing: they're going to play the Colts, and they still have to play the Browns, and those are going to be very telling games because those teams are going to be in the playoffs. Okay, so it's gonna be. Here's the thing, and I was
I don't
gonna
think we're arguing.
Here's the thing.
I think we're agreeing in a different way or something.
We do, listen. This is like a text message when you say like something, ha ha, and someone takes it the wrong way because it doesn't entail the voice and how it comes off. What I am going to say to you is this, and I was going to take it from Trev, but I'll let Trev finish the show. We see this every year in football, okay? We see a team 7-0, 8-0, 9-0, and we're like, they're great, and we're all jumping on the bandwagon. And then they start to lose game and falter. This is no different than the Patriots last year and other teams that we've seen where like, hey, they're really good, they're 10-0. And then we really find out that they lose in the first round of the playoffs. You're like, maybe they really weren't that good. And things that have made them so great have now hurt them. Injuries, drops, lack of running the football. All that is going to play a factor because you can't miraculously make these guys healthier, okay? They haven't had a bye. Now they're not going to have the number 1 seed, which means they're not going to have a first-round bye. It's not going to help the 37-year-old quarterback. You're not going to miraculously be able to learn how to run the football when you haven't been able to run the football all season. What? It's just magically going to be open to holes? Like, I'm just going to have my –
hey, it happened for the Giants for a month.
So, like – but it's listen. But the Giants had the ability and shown the ability to run. Steelers haven't been able to do it all season.
That is true. And
Big Ben,
it feels like the Pittsburgh Steelers have been playing nonstop.
I know.
Yeah, but you know what?
You deal with it. You play football.
And James Conner hadn't been on a football field in 3 weeks.
Yeah. Well, he didn't make a difference anyways because they are not even. Listen, they might not even be the best team in their division. Because I'll tell you what I saw last night. The Browns and the Ravens looked like better football teams on the football field than the Pittsburgh Steelers did. Plain and simple.
We'll see them playing.
And here's the thing. The Ravens, with their third-string quarterback and 19 players out against the Steelers, almost beat the Steelers. If you're the Steelers, right, Joe, and you got 11 starters and the other teams with their third-string backup and they got on their third-string running back and half the team's out, don't you think the Steelers should have kicked the rear end out of the Ravens the week before?
Yeah.
Yeah, they should have, and they didn't. So that's more telling to me that the Ravens were able to fight with all their backups and JV. It's like the JV team giving the number 1 varsity team a run for their money. Like, that shouldn't happen.
Oh, yeah. Connor is way overrated. He had one really good season. And
wait,
everybody
all right. I mean,
no, we don't need to get into it. We know he's an okay.
I mean, so wait, Connor. So James Conner's no good. I mean, what I'm trying to follow your logic here. So what? Connors wasn't going to help, or he was going to help? I tried to give you the excuse if he hadn't been on a field in 3 weeks.
Joe, you can save it for
10 pathetic carries.
Save it for your show.
We'll save it for piss you off shortly. That's your segment right there.
This is for everybody, my friends. This is serious. Look, again, why would the Steelers think they were going to win a football game handing the ball to James Conner 10 times?
Yeah, well,
it's just like the Saints thinking they're going to win a football game if they give Alvin Kamara the ball 5 times. Yeah. That's silly.
Joe, I saw that stat. We won't get into it, but I saw that stat. How many catches the lack of Kamara had since Taysom Hill as a quarterback? And Joe, I'm surprised you didn't bash Trevor because this is the same guy who said he had more faith in Taysom Hill in the playoffs with the Saints than Drew Brees. Drew Brees and the Saints win that game if he's the quarterback against the Eagles.
I don't have to bring it up. I'm sure Trevor hasn't slept since that happened, knowing that I know that he said that, and then I just haven't brought it up yet.
Joe, you have been winning bets against us, against Trev. You have been correct on statements with saying that how could you even...
He's been winning since November 3rd. Count the votes. Stop the count. Joseph, as always. Thanks, big guy. Hey, be safe, Joseph, with this incoming snowstorm and the rest of all of our followers and supporters. We are streaming on all social media platforms at Keys to the City, so subscribe, comment, or like. Like I said, everybody stay safe. We're finally getting some inclement freaking weather in Connecticut.
Let it
snow. Here we go. Well, let's get prepared. Get your milk and bread because everybody freaks out when you don't have those. But yes, we will be back later in the week talking an NFL weekend and maybe a teaser, conference championship preview. I haven't talked college football, but I think it's starting the time that we get into the gist of college football and we start talking about it. So we will be back. You're damn right. Got to get the bread and milk. We are going to get buried. So, ladies and gentlemen,
facts, keys to the city. We're unlocking the statements.
Stream